Lesson 29, Ratios. A ratio is just a comparison of two numbers by division. Sometimes we call it a fraction. There's 4 ways to write 3 girls to 4 boys as a ratio. The first one is just using the word to. So we could write 3 to 4. The second one is to write it as a fraction, which would be 3 to 4, and it just looks like 3/4. The third way is to use a colon, 3 to 4, and you just have a colon right between the two numbers. And the last way you can do it is as a decimal. And 3/4 is the same as 75 hundredths. So you need to reduce if possible. So if, as you are writing your fractions or your ratios, you need to reduce them. And then another thing to remember when you're writing a ratio is don't ever write them as a mixed number. So for example, if we had a 20-foot flagpole casts a 16-foot shadow, what is the ratio of shadow to flagpole? So we're writing a fraction, which would be how long the shadow is to how tall the flagpole is. The shadow was 16 feet, and the flagpole itself was 20 feet. So we would reduce it to 4/5. We could write it any of those other ways, 4 to 5, or the colon, or we could even do the decimal. Another example using the same problem is, what is the ratio of flagpole to shadow? In this case, we want to have our flagpole length in the numerator, the shadow in the denominator. So we would have 20 divided by 16, which reduces to 5/4. Again, we can use 5 to 4 or 5 with a colon, 4. Another example, we sometimes want to estimate large numbers, then reduce. So if we're writing a ratio and we have 1,217 fans to 897 fans, we would just round it to get 1,200 divided by 900, which is going to reduce to 4 to 3. And again, we do not write it as a mixed number. A rate is just a ratio with 2 different names, or 2 different measures. Or we sometimes call those measures units. So for example, miles per gallon, that is called a rate. Miles per hour is an example. 15 apples for $2. That's going to also be a rate. And that's the end of the lesson.